motion as well.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Brun. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Amendment number 5. This moves funds from the teacher line to instructional supplies.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Amendment number 6 has to do with the paid parental leave. These funds will be added to the line for substitute teachers where the expense for parental leave is reflected. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Brun, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Amendment number 7 moves money from educational assistants to teachers, speech pathologists, and hybrid stabilization retirement.
I make that motion.
I second.
Second came from Ms. Nunley.
Yes.
Ms. Nunley. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Amendment number 8 is moving funds from Social Security, health insurance, and supply lines to a portion of the salary for the welding teacher.
I make the motion.
Second by Ms. Nunley, correct?
Yes.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Amendment 9. This moves funds from the health insurance line and supplies and materials to salary and benefits for exceptional education and instructional supervisors budget.
I make that motion. I second.
Do we have any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom.
Yes.
David Dickerson.
Yes.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis. Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Joel Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next item on the agenda is the budget.
Ms. Loves, before we start that, may I ask a question of Jennifer? Jennifer, if we were to give the teachers a $4,000 raise, is that money there, or would we have to borrow that money?
We definitely wouldn't have to borrow the money for salaries. So The money we talked about borrowing was for repaving parking lots that were gonna cost millions and millions of dollars for North Tracy and the high school. We actually don't know how much it would cost. I can't give you an exact, I can tell you how much in the big teacher line, the difference between a $4,000 and a $2,000 raise is. But once you all voted for the the $2,000 raise, the changes that we made otherwise, throughout the rest of the budget, we quit working on that budget because you all, voted to do the $2,000. So I can't give you like bottom line, this would be our bottom line for $4,000. I can tell you how much a $4,000 raise will cost in the big teacher line, just in the salary line, if you would like for me to do that.
But the money for $4,000 is there. We could do that.
I mean, at worst case scenario, you would cut into the fund balance a little bit, but we're not gonna, that's our money. That's not borrowing money. That's using our money that we've, stashed away. And I'm not
We
saying,
have millions in, so yes.
I'm not saying that we would have to do that, but that would be worst case scenario. And it's hard, we don't have a clear picture because we quit working on that budget with the $4,000 raise in it.
But each year we do add to the fund balance, right?
Yes, ma'am. We've added to the fund balance for the last at least 3 or 4, for sure.
All right, so the money would be there if we were.
Yeah, so if you all voted to give a $4,000 raise, what Dr. Gurley and I would have to do is go back through the budget with the $4,000 raise in it, make sure all the changes that we've made and figure out how we would balance it to make sure that we're not, that we're comfortable, that we have a good idea of how much it would actually cost, if it would cost any of the fund balance or not, so that you all would know. I can't give you that exact number right now. I can give you an estimate of how much it will cost in the teacher line.
But at the last meeting, there was an error there because you'd already figured in the 4,000.
No, that was for only on one. That was just at the bottom of the note.
But you would gladly do that, I think, would you not?
I will do whatever you all ask me to do. I have rough figures for the $4,000, how much it will cost in teacher salaries. I already have that figure. It's just the overall picture of the budget. I'm not comfortable telling you how much that will be without time to work on it.
Thank you.
But we are taking and looking at doing capital outlay now because we have $1 million, over $1 million worth of parking lot.
Well, right now, Swiss's parking lot is out to bid right now. We haven't received bids. We have a good idea of how much it's going to cost, and that's already in the 141 budgets from, this year. It's our intention to pay for, unless we, to pay for part of that out of this year's budget and part of it out of next year's budget, so that it's not such a huge expense. The parking lots we were talking about needing to borrow money for would be Tracy's, Norris, and the high schools for sure, because they're on such a larger scale that, that would be up to you guys. If you want to continue to use our money, that will go into, that's definitely going to go into the fund balance too. So we just felt like it was a better idea, since we don't owe any money for anything. The high school parking lot is potentially going to cost, do you have any kind of estimate of what you think the high school parking lot might cost? Probably at least $3 million. So we're probably we're never going to have that in the 141 budget, without going into the fund balance.
So no matter if we give the teachers the extra $2,000 per
No matter
month,
what.
we are talking about borrowing money for the parking lots.
If the board still intends to repay all the parking.
You've got to turn around and give the same pay raise that we're discussing next year.
Yeah, so this only, given the 2,000 versus the 4,000, only gets us 1 year, because next year we would have to go ahead and give the other because it's required. This would just, give our teachers more a year before, and potentially would put us above some of the other surrounding counties, so that some of our teachers don't decide to, and help people with retirement too, because you do get paid for your highest, people that are going to retire this year or next year or the year after.
No, we did not get any additional funding from the state to help pay for the raise, correct?
No, we did. So we got, in the TISA formula, they give us a portion of some money to help raise the teacher salaries. So we are getting that included in what TISA pays us. It is included in the funding formula.
Is that just new teachers or is
all teachers. So you can't just raise the bottom, like, like the 0 years of experience. You can't just give them a raise. You have to, make it reflect all the way throughout. Or you would have, a teacher that's been teaching 4 years making less than a teacher that's, the new teacher would be making more than experienced teachers.
So in light of that, Mrs. Lusk, I would like to make that motion that we amend, how was it you stated that while ago?
Is your mic on?
Reconsider.
Yes, my mic is on.
Reconsider the motion where we gave teachers a $2,000 raise. You would like to reconsider that motion?
Yes, I would. I would like us to revisit that.
All right? And that is your motion, correct?
That is correct.
Right.
And then I want to say that if that passes, I would like us to go for 4,000.
Well, can we do one motion
Yes,
at a time?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, so this motion is to reconsider the motion that was made to give the teachers a $2,000
Yes,
raise.
that's it.
Yes. We have that motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by
I second it.
by Nelda Stephen. Do we have any discussion?
We have a lot of teachers here tonight. I think we should hear from them a little bit about how their day is and what stress they have, and because I don't know what your day's like. I've sat in these meetings with Renee a couple of times, and that gets a little stressful. Anybody want to speak? Okay.
So, ladies, we have this new bonder system now.
Could you be louder, please?
We have this new bonder system now that we have to do for reading and math
Yes.
to show we're teaching standards and what our daily lesson plan is. So this extra $4,000 bonus, on top of our salary, will be a good reward for all this hard work we've been having to do in such a short notice. Because I have 2 kids. I do run club, and then I spend an hour driving my son to and from daycare because there's no daycare up here. So I drive him to Hillsboro, and I teach him Pelham. And then I come home and I pack their bags, and I get ready for the next day at school, and I spend an hour. And so I think I need a good reward for all my hard work. And I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm not used to speaking.
Anybody else?
Okay, for 27 years, I have worked in this county and gave my all to this county. And I can't believe I'm actually standing up after 27 years. But I feel like the 4,000 would help me and others like me that will be retiring in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever. I'm 3 years away from my 30 years. I would like that to fall upon my retirement. I know I'll have to work longer, and I'm okay with that because I'm invested in this county, and I have been for 27 years.
And I would just say too, like she said, you have to raise that minimum to 50K regardless in the next year or 2. And so I think it would be good to be proactive rather than, do it at the last minute. It would be great for Grundy to kind of take a step and do something good before we're supposed to. So that's my input.
I don't mind telling you that after 30 years in this system, my retirement is $2,000 a month is what I bring home. And the only way when I was teaching for you to get a salary increase was if you went ahead and got another degree, and that upped your pay, or if you were lucky enough to get a job in the central office or as a principal. And those people traditionally had a better retirement. Sorry, but I mean, it's the truth, And when I wanted to run for, to be on the board, it was my goal to see that everybody got paid better than what I had after 30 years in this system. So this means a lot to me that you all get 4,000 instead of, the bare minimum. Because I taught for many, many years when we did not see salary increases ever. And now that we can do that, I hope this board will back us up.
I was just going to say, I have 152 students that come in my classroom every day, and I love every single solitary one of those students. I would be here if I made $100 a week. But my case, and so many people have a story, but my husband 2 years ago, as most of y'all know, he had an accident. He brings home way less than half of what he used to. We just had to make adjustments, and do that. And I've tried to work summer school, and I've done homebound and stuff like that, and I'm appreciative of all of that. And I will be appreciative of anything that you guys consider. But it would help me so much, like they said, with retirement and everything. And I've had health issues lately, and my doctor has told me, you've got to slow down. You've got to slow down. And so I'm trying to do that, but I'm just one of a lot of stories. But we're all here because we love your kids. We love the kids of Grundy County, and I would just like to ask you to reconsider.
Thank you.
Going back to what she said, I'm also, this is my 9th year teaching. I love being here. I grew up in Warren County. I had a job there whenever there wasn't one available for me here. A job came available for me here. I took a $6,000 pay cut because this is where I live, this is where my family is. Even though I grew up there, and the distance from my house to Warren County and the distance to here is about the same difference. I have been asked multiple times to come back down there. And the money is very tempting. But like Ms. Morton just said, these are our kids and we love them. My youngest is graduating from this high school this year. But any of those students that are in my classroom all day, out of the 100 plus students that I have, they're my kids. I'll stand up for them. And I love those kids. Also, we have a hard time finding, I'm getting emotional because I love my kids so much.
A true teacher does, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, thank you. We have a hard time at the high school finding math and science teachers, Spanish teachers even. My daughter is graduating from a university this year in a couple of weeks with a minor in Spanish. She doesn't want to teach because she's not going to make the money. She can come and teach Spanish here, but she does not want to do that. She's going to take the other job that she's being offered. I have other people that are teaching, that are math teachers. They're certified 7-12 math teachers that would come, but the money is not there. When we're looking at comparing ourselves to other counties and closer to us, they don't want to travel for the money. And if they get the money, they would be just as invested in these students as what we are. These are our kids and we love them. I don't know what to say. I mean, like I've cried with my students, I've laughed with my students, and we love them, and all of us have, because we love them, and that's what we're here for. We're here for them. But whenever you're looking at money and you're looking at, you don't have enough staff to have the classes that your high school needs to offer, that's one of the main reasons. And I'm a math teacher, so I'm seeked out. And I know where these other counties are coming from, and nobody wants to leave them, and nobody wants to come here when they get a better offer as a first-year teacher to go to another school. And I'm like Ms. Morton, I'm very appreciative of anything that we get. I'm very appreciative. But
you ought not have to beg for it.
yeah.
Okay, my turn. This is my second year in Grundy. I grew up here. I taught for 18 years in Rutherford County. When I was asked to come to Grundy, the first thing that came to my mind was, how am I going to do it financially? ended up biting bullet, and I said, we'll make it work. I wish I'd have done it 10 years ago. Yes, I grew up here, but in the school system, at my school, that's my home. I found my home. All teachers dish out money out of their pockets for these kids, whether it's pencils, paper, snacks, anything, holidays. I was never that teacher who would just go, oh, let's just have a little extra snack drawer over here. I've got snacks out the wazoo. That comes out of my pocket. Yes, I made that choice. So if you reconsider, that extra money not only helps me personally, it's going to also go to my kids. And that's why I'm there. Is for them. And obviously it's not for the money, but that little extra will help. I can't say it enough is we're all very grateful for what we do get, but that little extra would be amazing.
Anybody else?
Well, I want to say something. I mean, it's not against y'all, but I did get two other phone calls from other staff of Grundy asking if, for us not to forget them too. That they deserve a raise too. And I'm just telling you that there's other ones they're not here tonight, but they feel like they deserve it just as much as the teachers do. And I can't say they don't, because I was a bus driver, and I can tell you right now, for a fact, bus drivers don't make but $12,000 to $15,000 a year. And I did a lot of work to make that 15. So I'm just saying, there's a lot more people in this system that deserve that raise too.
I was an aide for 13 years, so I get that.
You know
and
what
I think
they do.
they all deserve it. But
Yes.
the Tennessee legislature is who has made this rule, this mandate.
Yes, they
that it has
did,
to
but
be
they didn't
done.
send the money with it though.
And teachers have invested a lot of money to be able to hold this position. But we have given raises to everybody across the board. I mean, these past couple of years, we've given several raises to across the board, and we were very specific about that. And we're not saying that we won't continue to give more raises across the board. But like Ms. Bourne said, this is through the legislature has made this rule a law, and it has to be done, whether it's done this year or if it's done next year. But at this point, we're just saying for the teachers, and maybe next year we can do another across the board, like we've done in the last couple of years. I have always been known for saying you don't pay one unless you pay everybody. And so we did do a 7.5% increase for all across everybody. Then we came back and we gave teachers a raise. Then we came back and we gave everybody else a raise. That's just the way that Grundy ought to move forward. And we don't leave anybody out. But at this point, this is something that we have to do for teachers. And then the next thing we need to look at is for everybody else. So I've always been an advocate, especially the teachers' aides have had my heart because they work so hard with the students and they get paid the least amount of anybody in the whole county, I think. But, and I've always advocated for the teachers' aides. But at this point, this is the law that has to be, we have to give them another
$2,000 raise either this year or next year, and we're advocating to give it to them this next year.
So I have made that motion, Madam Chairman.
And we have a second, I believe. Now that you second it, at this time, we will, any other discussion?
Yeah, I want to say something. I work with kids every day, and I work with them across the state. I've worked with them in this county. You can't put a price on education, period. You know, there's a pipeline to prison that we talk about when we go into these, and 99% of our kids that when they don't have anybody at home. There's a lot of kids in our county that don't have anybody. I mean, you guys play mom and dad, and I mean, I know that, I see it. And if we could give all these kids a chance, and that's what they deserve. And what kills me is, I know for a fact, because I do it too, I go home with it at night. I cry. It does not leave my head. I mean, we've got 7 and 8-year-olds that I'm sure many of you have brought snacks and packed them in their backpacks and sent them home. I'm sure that's money that you didn't have. I deal with it every day. I deal with kids struggling to read. I deal with parents that don't have the money to take their kids to have intervention like my son has had. We don't have that. And if it takes giving money to bring people up here, to make sure that we have teachers, to make sure that all of our children have an education, there's not a price tag on that, period. There's the end of discussion.
Very good point.
Do we have, Dr. Durley, do we have any ideas what the starting salary around and the surrounding counties are at this present time? How far?
Back when we were given, y'all hear me on this mic? Back when we were given pay raises, the past 2 or 3 that Ms. Thomas described, I had local superintendents calling and saying, what's going on in Grundy? Why are you guys giving these pay raises? Where did you come up with the money? Why are y'all putting so much competition on us? That's a true story. That being said, we moved away from the minimum salary scale. When I came up here, it was at $35,000 and some change. I made that back when I started in Shelby County. I made $45,000 was my starting salary back in the early 2000s. I think if we were able to move it to $50,000, I think that would keep us competitive with surrounding counties, because I do believe, as some of the teachers have spoken to, we do have the best kids. If you come in here in this high school or these K-8 schools and you work with these kids on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't take real long to figure out these kids are very genuine, they're responsive to direction, and they are very interested in getting quality education up here. That's the reason why we work so hard to get some things in place to take care of our teachers, our assistants, our bus drivers. You know, the first board meeting, if you'll recall, when I came in here, we had a room full of bus drivers that were demanding a pay raise. I think that we have increased some of our classified salaries as much as 50% in some areas. Is that a safe guesstimate? That's life-changing money for people. The problem I have in not giving these teachers $4,000 right now is that biscuit at L&L costs them the same amount of money it costs me. And I think the board, if we're really, really concerned about money in different things, as we should be stewards of our money, but you need to look at, I think, some of the positions and some of the things that you're wanting to add in addition that are not necessarily needed at this time in the district. You might could take away a $70,000 position that might be able to get you closer to not having to worry about giving that $4,000 increase, or giving another raise to bus drivers that's needed. I think there needs to be a little bit closer communication between the board and the director as far as the finances. I have worked really, really hard on finances the 4 years I've been here. The fund balance shows that. The fund balance was around $1.8 million. I can remember at a time when Mr. Burble asked, what is in the fund balance, and I couldn't answer that question. I can also remember the time where I was told First thing you'll probably have to figure out is how to get yourself paid and trying to get a full paycheck for the first 3 months that I worked here. We are a long way past where we were when we started this 4 years ago. That being said, I think if we give it some time, I think we can put a comparison together for you. I think if the board looks at possibly are some positions needed, are they not needed, I think you won't have to go into the fund balance. I can't guarantee revenue. I can't guarantee TISA money because TISA money is dependent upon outcomes. That changes every year. That's a constant moving target for any district. That being said, if you'll put your trust in me, as you have for 4 years prior to this, I will try to ensure that we don't go into that fund balance. But when I make a recommendation to you or question the adding of a position, if it's actually necessary or not, I think you need to take that to heart, and I think you need to determine if that's in the best interest of the district. If we truly want to take care of everybody that's here. I agree with Ms. Broom. I don't think we can take care of just teachers. But I do know right now we are mandated to do so. I do not like following. I would rather lead. And I don't understand why Grundy has to wait like they have historically to take care of his people.
I'll be real quick, but one thing, I'd just like for everybody to realize I've been here 22 years, and if you give us a $2,000 raise, your first year teachers next year will make $200 more than what I make with a $2,000 raise. Just something for you to think about. I started out $27,000. Been here 22 years, and I'm at, I mean, it's public. I don't even know exactly, but it's around 48. So you're going to have first year teachers coming in next year making 50,000, and me making 50,200. So just process that.
That's for the 2,000, right?
Yes, that's with the 2,000. I'm not at 50 right now.
Beth,
So
do you mind sharing your starting salary information, what you told me today?
When I started in 2006, our starting salary was around 32, 33. And that's, when did we get the first, 3 years ago was the first raise, and it was at 35 then. So from 2006 to 2022, the starting salary had gone up $3,000.
I retired after 30 years, and I don't think I would get this. A long overdue.
The motion on the floor is to reconsider. We have a second. Let's take a roll call vote at this time, please, to reconsider that motion.
Eric Birdwell.
Yeah.
Linda Broom.
No.
David Dickerson.
No.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis. Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Doyle Schrum.
Yes.
Nelda Stiefel.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Definitely, yes.
Motion carried.
All right, now, Margaret, you have the motion to reconsider. You wish to make another motion?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to change our budget for $4,000 for our teachers this year, as opposed to the 2 that was already in the budget.
I second.
The second from Ms. Nunley.
Can you see that in the budget version for the government? I would recommend calling a special call meeting, Mr. Verbal, that way you've got the numbers ahead of you. I would like to request, if we can, we will begin working on this tomorrow. As soon as we get it done and I can get it to you, is 5 days enough for y'all to review it, or is that too much prior to a special call meeting? Madam Chair?
No.
I mean, how many days would you all like to review it prior to that?
Don't count weekends. This grandmother's business.
When do we have to present it to the commission, Dr. Darling?
April.
They're having budget meetings, they had one Tuesday night, I think the sheriff's department is tonight, and I'm assuming they were waiting on tonight's outcome prior to them scheduling hours. I think possibly we could get it done maybe by May 1st. They're normally pretty flexible working with us, but it depends on how long it'll take you and I to approve it.
Well, what I was thinking, 5 work days, you're talking about the possibility of meeting next Thursday. Is that what was on your mind?
I'm fine with whatever the board.
Lord, what do you all think? Because if I understand correctly, what we're fixing to do is that we are not going to vote on the $4,000. We have simply, even though we do have a motion on the floor and everything, the recommendation from you and from the board members is we would like to see the numbers before we say yes or no to the $4,000. Is that where you're coming from, Dr. Darling?
Yes, ma'am, but are you guys interested more in that recommendation or the recommendation that's going to prevent us from going into the fund balance?
I do not want to borrow the fund balance because I want some parking lots redone, and we're talking about $3 to $4 million to do that.
And Swiss has got to have plumbing done.
Yeah, Swiss needs, yeah.
That's where all my concern is.
Yes, we've got to look at, needless to say, if we don't have sewage at Swiss, it would be a very difficult situation to operate a school. So if we're talking about, and I mean, look at the asphalt around this building, look at North, look at Tracy. Needless to say, it cannot continue to deteriorate without us doing something. And then, so we're looking at what, 4 more huge projects that will definitely go into the fund balance.
So keep in mind, for the previous however many years you want to look back, the budget summary page is worst case scenario. And for the last, you can look at the one you have before you, it shows that if the budget runs exactly like that we would go into the fund balance. Last year, the year before, but we have not done that. So if we modestly budget revenue, you're probably still going to have that. So there's going to have to be a little bit of trust that you all extend to us, that if we put it on there and say we think we can do it without going into the fund balance, it's going to be hard to make it look like on paper on that summary page that we won't go into the fund balance. If you look at what I'm talking about for the past 3 years, it looks like we've cut into the fund balance $1.5, $1.8 million, but in reality, we've actually put into the fund balance by a couple of $1 million every year. And that's because we take in more revenue than is budgeted on that summary page. And it's just very hard. I mean, we have no idea how much sales tax we're going to get. We don't know about our outcome bonuses, from TISA. So that is a modest estimate of revenue. That is like lowest amount of revenue that we could possibly get. That's on budget.
In order to postpone, if I understand, we're going to have to withdraw a motion and a second. Ladies, if you choose to do that, and give them time to come up and formulate what we're talking about. Is that your wish?
It's not my wish, no.
Okay, so you're going to leave. You could table it, yes. You do not wish to table it, Margaret?
No, I wish that we move on with this salary, and that Dr. Durley and them get their budget together, and then we call a special call meeting to find out that everything is fine.
The motion was just to change the budget to reflect a $4,000 raise instead of a $2,000 raise. So it was just to change what was in place.
I would like to look at the numbers. Me too.
So if we do the $4,000 raise in a budget, we already have the $2,000 one totally 100% completed. So if you make the motion for the $4,000. The motion on the floor would just mean that Dr. Durley and I would go back through and rework the budget a little bit and show you, this is our recommendation if you want to give a $4,000 raise versus the $2,000
And we
raise.
have the votes to carry that tonight. So we should go ahead and do that, and then have a special call meeting to look at the budget and to pass it so that it can be presented to the county commissioners.
Mark, you have enough votes to reconsider the motion, which is what we're doing. The motion that you've made to change it to $4,000, we have not voted on that yet.
I thought we did too. Did we not vote on it?
Read the motion back, you got a motion?
Yes, the current motion on the floor is to change the budget to reflect a $4,000 raise instead of a $2,000 raise for teachers.
That is not to reconsider. That's not to wait either.
I got it, okay.
That's to push through.
So we're to the point of voting on that.
Ready to vote?
Did you have a second?
Yes.
So the motion at this time is that if you are in favor of changing the amount paid for teachers from $2,000 to $4,000, correct, babe?
Yes, it is, the motion on the floor is to change the budget to reflect a $4,000 raise instead of a $2,000 raise. Is that what, that's what you?
Right, and
Okay.
then we would have to have a meeting to vote to approve the budget.
And would you like me to add that and then have a meeting to approve the budget?
No, that would just be a necessity. Yeah, we would have to approve the necessity.
Okay.
All right, we're ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
What are we voting on? They're going to fix the budget to show a $4,000 raise, and then we'd have to get together and vote on the budget.
But
We're not voting on that tonight.
We're not voting on the budget because we haven't seen the
Okay.
budget.
But are we at this time, is the motion is, at this time, we are voting to approve the $4,000 raise as opposed to the $2,000? Or
It is a vote to change the budget to reflect a $4,000 raise.
and we've not adopted the budget yet.
Correct.
So, we're still up in the air. We're going to have, when we have this budget meeting, then apparently we're going to choose between the 2,000 and the 4,000. Is that everybody's understanding? Yeah. Dr. Durr, is that yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Margaret, is that your understanding?
Well, not really.
Okay.
My understanding was we are putting $4,000 in for teachers, period.
Okay.
And then we will vote to accept the budget. I think Dr. Durley was going to show us 2,000 versus 4,000. But unless we saw something we just couldn't live with, the 4,000 was what was going to be in there.
Okay. That's your understanding. All right, that is the way we will vote. If you're voting for 4,000.
But then we have to approve the budget.
But if it's already, okay.
I'm so confused.
That was not my understanding of the motion, but
Okay, go back, and how did you understand it then?
my thought was that we would have the 4,000, the 2,000, we could look at the figures, both of them at the same time, side by side, and then, as a board, decide which one that we were going with.
Okay.
I am not ready to vote for something that I can't see the numbers. I just,
All right.
I just
I amend
cannot.
my motion in Beth.
Okay.
And at the special call, you all will show us both figures, but right now, we're going to add 4,000 to the budget so that you can work that up.
You're gonna,
So we will go back and we will prepare a second budget that reflects $4,000 teacher raises. And then at the next board meeting, at the special call, what you'll have is this budget with $2,000 teacher raises and another budget with $4,000 teacher raises. And then you all can choose which one you want or whatever changes.
we can vote for budget A or budget B.
Yes.
Take
And at that time, you'll be able to see how much they cost. And, you know, we could give you suggestions of, you know, if we're uncomfortable with this position, we could cut this line down or whatever.
And Dr. Dickerson, your question was then,
Why don't we just table C then off the whole agenda tonight?
Until we get that.
You'll have to.
Table everything about the budget.
Well, we can't table it, that, we've got to make a motion for them to make another budget showing the $4,000. If we table it, then they won't do, work on the new budget.
You've got a motion on the floor, Beth. Read it one more time.
Okay, the motion that I currently have on the floor is to prepare a budget with a $4,000 teacher raise to compare with current budget at a special called meeting.
Yes.
And we have a second to that.
Well, no, we have a second to the previous one. Okay.
But we're not adopting a budget and we're not giving anybody a dime yet, right?
Correct.
I'm sorry about that, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, are we ready?
We are ready for a roll call vote.
Okay, Eric Birdwell.
Yes.
Linda Broom. Yes. David Dickerson.
No.
Phyllis Lusk.
Yes.
Mary Ann Hargis.
Yes.
Angela Nunley.
Yes.
Doyle Strum.
Yes.
Nelda Steeple.
Yes.
Margaret Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So we will set a date. Do we need to do that tonight? Dr. Durley, do you and I need to talk tomorrow? You all need to get together and see when you can have it done, and then set a date. How do you want to do that?
I would anticipate 2 to 3 days worth of work probably. So that would put us Friday, Monday, Tuesday, have it to the board maybe by Thursday at the latest, but you guys don't want to review on the weekends.
What about it, board?
You would probably have a special call not next week, but the week after.
24th.
Would that be Monday the 24th?
Monday the 21st. Thursday would be the 21st.
Thursday the 24th. Look at your calendars, please. What time? About 6. Was that good? We need earlier. You need 7? 6:30? Would 6:30 on the 24th be good for everybody, Eric? Nelda? Margaret?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. D?
It gets our teachers money, I'll be here.
Miss Brun, you good with the 24th at 6:30? Angela?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Doyle?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's the date. That's a special call meeting. On that date, the 24th at 6:30, here at the same place. All right, moving on to the next thing, the director's evaluation. We have not evaluated Dr. Gurley. I've talked with Scott. He suggested that we use what he suggested that we do is that we do a mid-term informal evaluation using this instrument. And then if this is the instrument that you look at and want to use for the formal evaluation later on in the fall next year, that we need to set up a month that we're going to do that, the format that we're going to do, and those kind of things. But we are behind as far as his evaluation is concerned. I'm interested in your comments and thoughts.
We've already breached his contract on evaluation anyway. So, we can hear you.
Do you want to look at this instrument and look at it? Do this and then possibly bring this back at the special call meeting on the 24th? Would that be advisable for everybody? Is that agreeable? Well, we can call it for the director's evaluation as well as the budget. We can list more than one thing on the special call meeting.
Madam Chairman.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What year are we evaluating?
If it's called midterm, which Scott suggested, I assume we're looking at 25, 26, 24, 25.
So
And we cannot go back retroactively, he said.
So the year started in July, and I'm going to get the instrument in May that I'm to be evaluated by for this year.
I assume that the one you have right now will be the one that we use.
But similar to the way a teacher's evaluated, they get that evaluation rubric prior to the year starts, correct?
Are you requesting that we forfeit evaluation this year?
No, ma'am. I think previous conversation that we had about it was regarding the attorneys having conversation.
Well, I had assumed from a conversation with Scott that he was calling your attorney yesterday. Did that, and your attorney?
I have not had contact.
All right, I'm sorry. I assumed that had happened because he and I spoke about
Not
that.
tonight was when I knew that we were discussing the evaluation.
Okay, I'm sorry because he had told me that he would take care of that. My apologies.
I had no idea. And you know, the modification of this is a modification of contractual agreements between myself and the Board of Education.
Right.
So you know.
I will follow the advice of our attorney, which I thought I was doing tonight. So I will get in contact with him again between tomorrow and Monday, and we'll go from there.
Because I know that there's a portion of the policy as it pertains to my evaluations regarding subjective versus objective evidence and how that's supposed to be submitted. And I know at one time we had discussed a third party being involved in the evaluation process. Is that off the table?
No, sir.
Okay. I guess you and I can discuss this.
Yes. Next final item on the agenda is Dr. Gurley posting his vacation time. Yes. Comments, thoughts? Would you like for me to, what calendar are we talking about? Okay.
The school calendar of physical year, so one that we visit on.
She needs to speak up louder because we can't hear.
Just put on the physical calendar year.
I would just like a calendar where they had that school activity.
Yeah, so we'll
We
know.
would have one.
So you're talking about the beginning of next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. Do we need that in form of a motion?
Well, as we discussed previously, I think we were supposed to discuss that with the attorneys as well,
Right.
because that would be a modification to the contract.
All right, I will do that. Yes.
Is there any way that we can have her longer at the next meeting?
I have requested Scott to be here tonight. He had a conflict. He said he would get with us again, so I will tell him we're going to meet on the 24th and see if he can come at that particular time. Tell him we have issues such as this. There's a couple of litigations that we have that we wanted to discuss with him. So I will contact him tomorrow or Monday.
So we
Okay.
have to put this on the special call.
Yes, we can go with his advice.
But this
All right.
about the calendar will be.
Yes, on his advice.
21st.
Yes. 24th.
24th, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Anything else? I need a motion to adjourn. We have nobody that signed up for anything,
I'll
right?
make the motion.
Mary Ann made the motion.
I'd like to suggest that our teachers come back and bring a friend on the 24th.
We need a second for the motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? May you all be safe going home.